Okay, so we've already covered the first principle of WordPress productivity, which is define the job in detail. Now we're going to talk about the second principle, which is get the right resources involved. Now, back in the day, John Keane originally devised this principle as get the right people involved. But he learned later, and you and I both know, that there's a lot more on the resource side that needs to get involved other than just people, although people are important. For WordPress, I divide this into 4 basic sections. People, get the right people involved, get the right plugins and theme involved, get the right hosting involved if that is necessary for the specifics of your project, and get the right blocks and templates involved. That's presuming that you're going to use Gutenberg at some point in the future, which we all probably will. So I'll explain a little bit more about that in a minute. Let's go back to people. Okay, I keep a standard set of project roles and responsibilities. I take this standard list and I put it in every proposal, and then I modify it based on the needs of the client, the size of the project, and so forth. Now what this does is 2 things. It gets the client a really good idea of all of the different things that you're going to be doing on this project, even though you're just one person. It really gives them a clear indication of all the different skill sets that are needed, whether it's just you or whether you've got a team of 5 or 6. Still accomplishes the same thing. Secondly, it's going to help you whenever you need to add additional people. You've already got that skill set defined, so going out and finding that person, you know exactly what the roles and responsibilities are and exactly what the skill set is that you're looking for. So that's one way to get the right people involved. If you can't get the right people involved, you can try getting people involved rightly, which is make sure you look at their skill sets and then put them in charge of those things. Now, the second thing under this topic of get the right resources involved is plugins and themes. I do pretty much the same thing with the plugins. I have a standard set of technical plugins and a standard set of business-related plugins that I have vetted, and I know how they work, and I know they work well, and I know they're quality plugins, and I use them on every project if the client has a need for that plugin. And that applies to even technical ones. For example, let's say that your client is not going to use any images on their website. Okay, that's pretty silly. They probably will, but just let's use that as an example. Then you don't need an image compression utility. If they're going to be using images on their website, you probably do need one. The same thing is true of SEO. Believe it or not, there are some people out there where search engine optimization is simply not a business requirement because every bit of their business comes through referrals, and the only reason they have a website is so that their clients can go on the website and book an appointment. So SEO is not a big requirement for them. That doesn't mean I wouldn't necessarily also use it, but they're not going to be writing blog articles. They're not going to be trying to generate traffic that way. So there's no reason to spend a lot of time on worrying about SEO for that client. And I keep making that point over and over. We tend to forget about those business requirements, but you really need to look at those very closely and be really good at finding out what they are before you do any of these other pieces. Okay, the third section, hosting. Well, that's a no-brainer. If the client doesn't have hosting, they're going to have to get hosting. Everybody out there has their favorite hosting company. Hosting opinions are as prevalent as different religions, and everybody believes that their way is the only way to heaven. So find the hosting company that you like. If you're forced to work with a hosting company that you don't like because your client is with them and likes them, then you need to work that into your project plan and get the resource involved rightly and make sure that you understand how that hosting company works. And then fourth, Gutenberg. Okay, this is November 2018. It's supposed to be delivered this month, and it's going to change the way we do business in a good way. So if you develop custom blocks and then take those custom blocks and develop custom templates, say for landing pages or contact forms or things like that, that you can then reuse from client to client by making a few changes to the colors or the design, then that's going to save you a huge amount of time. And of course you want to do that. So that's another way of getting the right resources involved. The one thing I didn't cover in detail here is the theme, because as I begin to use Page Builder a lot more, and with the advent of Gutenberg, the theme becomes a lot less important. It's still important, and you still need to go out and find the right one for your client. But I also try to stay away from any theme that has a lot of functionality in it. I believe that's the role of the plugin. So I tend to stick with Genesis themes, not always, depending on the needs of the client. But if I can get by with using one of those and then modifying it with a page builder or with some CSS code, then that's generally what I do. But I don't spend a lot of time searching for the perfect theme for this particular client. I generally figure out what the business requirements are, figure out, can I meet this with a pared down theme, with a lightweight theme and a page builder, and then I rock on. So that's principle number 2, get the right resources involved. Get the right people involved, get the right plugins and theme involved, get the right hosting involved, and get the right blocks and templates involved. Next, we're going to talk about principle number 3, breaking the job down.